Well, hi there. My last video about hockey, I was speaking of Eric Gudbranson, and I called him a Jolly Green Giant. I am wearing a green jersey now, so I'm just saying that I'm not meaning it as a pun. Anyway, that aside, this video is actually going to be about the Vegas Golden Knights. There's a few things I wanted to talk about. One of them is I kind of didn't ever want Vegas to really get a team, to be honest. Las Vegas is not a hockey town. It probably never will be. It's always going to be a gimmick over there, at best. It'll be something wealthy people will indulge in when they've, a night of gambling and spending money and whatnot. It's nice that there's another NHL team, and I'm sure there's some fans there that will appreciate them having a team, but it's not. I'm not expecting it to be too terribly big a hockey town. Anyway, the jerseys. I actually don't mind the Golden Knight jersey. I was concerned that they were going to be a predominantly yellow, or like a type of yellow, like a golden type of jersey, which would muscle Nashville out of their jersey. I was concerned about that. They have a little bit of gold in their jersey, but not a lot. The jersey's mostly gray, and that's basically the two major colors that were left. It was either got to be gray or purple, and with the name like Golden Knights, it was not going to be purple. I'd actually like to see a team with a purple jersey, but the closest there's been was the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, and that was some time ago. Yes, Adidas is now the owners of, or have the rights to make the jerseys. They should be coming in around September, so I expect the Reebok jerseys to go on sale, and I will be capitalizing when they do. Actually, from what I've seen, I do prefer Reebok. Adidas didn't change the jerseys too much. Only two teams actually changed their jerseys in any significant way, and one of them being Minnesota and the other one being Edmonton. There's no alternate jerseys anymore. That will probably change. I can see it changing because, there's just more money to be made if there's more official jerseys out there. We'll have to see about that, though. We don't know. Advertisements on jerseys are probably coming. The hockey guy pointed it out before I did, that Adidas spent too much money acquiring the rights to make the jerseys, that they're going to sneak advertisements in there slowly but surely, but they'll do it. And I had noticed in the last couple of years, they had done it periodically here and there before, but they were creeping like little logos on the arms and things like that of players, not really of like things you buy, but like the 100 years and things like that. And the Senators had their thing there, and so they were putting patches on jerseys, and it's slowly turning into that. But the Golden Knights jersey, don't mind it. It's okay. I was kind of annoyed because their logo emphasizes the V, and the V is Vancouver's thing. We had it first. So that I don't particularly like. But whatever. As far as the team goes, I actually don't think it's that good. A lot of the players are, well, they either had better years or they haven't really shown too much potential. Like, let's talk goalies. Their main goalie is going to be Marc-Andre Fleury, and he was on his way out from Pittsburgh for the last couple of years. They talked about him leaving last year and this year and the year before, and his performance had been slipping, and now Matt Murray was there. I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury is only 32 years old, but he's clearly past his prime. And the other goalies, one of them was Picard from Colorado, a terrible team last year. So I don't think their goalies are too good. As far as defense goes, Jason Garrison, I liked him when he was on Vancouver. He didn't have too impressive a season with Tampa just this coming year. Maybe he could bounce back. I don't know. He's not that old, but he's getting there too. I would have to say arguably their best defenseman is Method. Method played pretty well, and he had a good plus minus on a team that wasn't like a super elite team. I mean, the Ottawa Senators did go far into the playoffs, but I never really felt that they were an elite team. So yeah, they got a few other defensemen too that are they're okay. But like I heard on various Facebook forums and things like that the Golden Knights have a really good roster and things like that, and a lot of people think that they're going to do well. That I'm not really too convinced about. Their three best scorers have all had better years. James Neal had a 40-goal season, true enough, but that was years ago. With Pittsburgh, coincidentally. Michaud from Florida, he did okay. 30 goals ain't too bad. Yeah, but he's not going to be an 80-point guy, 90-point guy, or anything like that. Especially with how the team's configured at this time. I would assume they're going to put him on the first line, but I don't know, and nobody does at this point. And then you got David Perron, who had an okay season a few years back with Edmonton. Yeah, I think he had like 28 goals or something like that. I forget, but he's a 20-goal scorer. So the thing is, ideally he would be a second liner, but with the skill set I'm seeing on the roster, he looks as though he's gonna have to be a first liner. And the thing is, we don't know that those three players are actually going to be able to play well with each other. Because sometimes, hockey players, they just have a different mindset. They've been trained differently, and they just, it's not that they're bad players, it's just they can't work together properly or in the most efficient manner possible. Yeah, I honestly don't see the Golden Knights being anything significant in the way of, a cup contender for many, many years. No expansion team has really just broken out, especially in recent years. It's taken a long time for them to really get anywhere. Carolina, it didn't take them that long, and same with Colorado, actually, come to think of it. But, that was certain individuals that made that happen. I don't think it was the organization. I think it's just some varying factors. Yeah, anyway, Golden Knights, Las Vegas, they got tons of money. But, there's something you have to know about capitalism, corporations, which all has to do with the NHL. As I told you, it's a money-making machine. People in the higher up seats, they're mysterious. Their business dealings, how they go about doing things. We, as regular people, know close to nothing about them. And we have no idea that the Golden Knights higher ups, and higher up than the general manager, and the owner, basically the face of the organization, because there are people behind the scenes of those guys. Those are just the public face. You don't have any idea they're not double dealers, that they're not going to sell the team down the river to make more money, maybe with a promise that they'll be better in 10 years or whatever. And this goes for any NHL hockey team. I mean, in theory, you think that the owner must want the team to win, and I'm sure he does. But if the owner has people to answer to who work for the NHL controls all of the teams, and it's all about making money, then it's no surprise that they go, well, this team's not going to do well this year. We'll, wet your beak, grease your palms, and you won't tell anybody. This is all speculation because I'm obviously not there. But I'm telling you, people they do things for money. I don't think that's a surprise to most people. But when you understand how secretive and twisted and almost nonsensical money really can be, you start to understand that an allegiance to, a crest, a team, certain players, whatever, it's all, in the business world, it's all superficial. If whomever is in charge sees it to their benefit that they make a certain move, and it appears, detrimental to the team you're supposed to be representing, that kind of stuff still happens. It happens all the time. Because the NHL as an organization, as opposed to individual teams, they're two separate entities, but they're intertwined. And I am sure that, most every general manager is trying his best to try and get the team to win, and same with the owners as well. But if they're winning, not necessarily by selling tickets or jerseys or whatever, but within internal politics, then they're getting what they want. So sometimes teams do poorly, and it's not because the players aren't very good, it's not because the coaching staff's not very good, it's because there was money being passed around, and that's just the way it goes. Because corruption in sports is well known by anyone who understands anything about organized sport. People like to think hockey's different. I mean, I would like to think that too. I'd like to think, no, a team is just a bunch of guys, and the other team is another bunch of guys, and they're gonna, have a match against each other, and depending on various in-game factors, that will determine who wins. And I'm sure in the regular season that's true, to an extent. It is a performance after all. It's entertainment. And people who understand Hollywood, I don't understand it too well, but people who understand Hollywood know that the NHL can be phony baloney in that sense. It's not something that most hockey fans want to accept. They spent their whole lives watching it. They rooted for their team, and they don't want to hear it. Like, I could sit here and explain exactly why certain things are the way they are, and when some controversial things have happened in the past, why it was benefit to some and why it looked scripted and organized. They don't want to hear it. It makes them angry. Some people, they're trapped in their little world, and they don't know how to think, and they may never know because they're too stubborn and set in their ways. It's still, the NHL, anything could happen. So maybe the Golden Knights do well, maybe they make the playoffs, maybe they're even a cup contender in the upcoming season. We're going to have to see, but given the shady history of money and gambling associated with Vegas, I wouldn't be surprised if they were told to take a dive for the first few years. We're going to have to see about that, though. Because as I said, on paper, the team's not that good. It's a mediocre team from what I've seen. But fixing an organized sport, it goes beyond referees making bad decisions, and it turns into the same old argument that you have with people, particularly on the internet. They go, no, this is the official website and it says these are the statistics. Other people do the same thing, like they'll go to Wikipedia and go, oh, it's written here, this is fact, this is history. Don't understand, it could be written by anyone by any time. I'm not saying that the statistics that are written on NHL.com, for example, are fake, because those goals did happen, but the context of those goals and those points, plus minus, fighting and all that, that is not an exact science, but it was not exactly the way it was supposed to be. Because certain players will have a lot of money behind them, they have to get points, and they have to do well. And you may go, well, there's been big players, big salaries, and they've been total busts. And it's true, but you don't hear about them for very long when that happens. Like, for example, a guy like Sidney Crosby, with the hype about him, I don't mean to sound like I hate on the guy, I don't, but not everything about him I like. A lot of things I don't like about him. But let's put it to you this way. Let's say he had all the hype around him as he has now, had all the awards, Stanley Cups, gold medals, all that, but he was, let's say, a 65-point guy a year. Let's say he got 35 goals, 30 assists, and that's about his average. That would actually still make him a good hockey player if he consistently got that many points. But with his cult of personality, he had to be more than that. He had to get 100 plus points a couple seasons, 90 points a few seasons, like really high point percentages. And basically he was just beating the crap out of pathetic teams. I once made the argument to someone who saw me in a Vancouver Canucks jersey. They said, "Oh, is there a game today?" And I knew there wasn't, but I told them, "There's a game every day." And they didn't understand what I was talking about. And I went, they said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And I said, "It'd take a real long time to explain to you, because there's certain concepts about the world that you just don't understand." I am a fan of hockey, as I've said. I've made it a point to collect jerseys, not to be a poser, not to be an artiste or anything. I am genuinely entertained by, skilled hockey. But to be honest with you, if I had the opportunity to go to a Pittsburgh Penguins game, get flown over to Pittsburgh to watch Sidney Crosby play, or, go over to my local hockey rink and watch my friends play in a beer league, while I'm drinking beer, of course. I'd rather watch my friends play hockey, because I find that more entertaining. And I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with that. But the thing is, a guy like Crosby, there's two types of people. There's people that hate him, and there's people that don't like him. And I guess there are people who hate him. I don't like him, but I wouldn't go so far to say as I hate him. But a lot of people suck the guy's dick, metaphorically, on the internet. And, I go, what? Why would you do that? Why would you praise him so well? He's never going to do anything for you. Him winning a Stanley Cup for the Pittsburgh Penguins was all about him, the team, and the NHL. It wasn't about you. They may thank the fans every now and then, but it's really about them and making money. And you run into Sidney Crosby, and let's say for years you've been talking about how great he is on the internet, promoting a good image and all that. The guy's not even going to know you, for one thing, and he's going to completely just talk to you as little as possible, avoid you, and you can't blame him for that, but you're not even going to exist in his book. So, I don't praise people that are like that, actually. Yeah. Anyway, I really don't want to see the Pittsburgh Penguins three-peat. That would be a little too much. I'd almost rather see the Golden Knights win the Stanley Cup. Yeah, I don't know exactly who's going to win, who's going to be successful next year. It's, not clearly stated anywhere. Nobody knows, but should be interesting with a new addition to the NHL, new team. I think that there should have to be another team because now there's an imbalance. But it could be many a while before they find another team that can, another place that can accommodate another hockey franchise. Yeah, so to summarize, don't mind Golden Knights jersey, even though they're kind of copying the V. That's okay. They didn't get rid of the Ottawa Senators jersey like I thought they were going to. I thought it was going to be replaced by the O, which would be kind of a cheesy, tacky jersey, which is okay as an alternate, but to play with that, every game, I don't know about that. But they didn't do that because I figured the Golden Knight, you know, it's similar to the Centurion helmet style. But yeah, I don't know, they didn't change it, so whatever. And the V isn't as emphasized as a lot of people were saying. I mean, I guess Vegas is, you know, it starts with a V too, and they just sort of try to roll with it. So yes, I probably will get a Vegas jersey at some point. Yeah, have to see where it goes from there. I will be watching the highlights and recording games when the new season starts. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.